And here we go. Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. Armani and Edwards, the bottom line. Woodward Sports Network. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, the great Stan Edwards in the house. It is Tuesdays with Stan as well. Mr. Edwards, good afternoon to you, my friend.
This one,
both of you.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure I don't speak out of turn. Everything is well. Happy New Year's to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know about happy. We'll talk about it in just a second. I want to say shout out to my dear friend Paul Babbitt. He and Dave Jones of MVP are some of the best, sports management firm on the planet. I had a great holiday. It was just over the holiday weekend. There was a 3-hour window that wasn't very good. I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Absolutely, Braylon.
I think I was there for that 3-hour window.
The indoor tailgate we had.
Oh, hey, man, we'll let you talk about that. It was a lot of fun at Dad's house, and we'll get into that. Man, I'm excited. Obviously, it's come to the end of college football season, which isn't exciting, especially with the seasons that Michigan and Michigan State have. We'll get into that. But, man, it allows me to focus on the NBA now, and the NBA is heating up. The Warriors are getting Klay Thompson back this Sunday. Kyrie comes back tomorrow. Embiid is playing at an all-time high for him. He had 31, 15, and 10. Only person to do it is Giannis has done it this season. It's just a fun time. Trae Young, another young talent in the NBA, plays for the Hawks. 56-14 last night, and they still lost. So I'm very excited. NBA, I'm about to start focusing again because it's coming.
I believe Kyrie will come back when Kyrie has some wood under his shoes.
He come back tomorrow.
When he gets some wood under his shoes, then I'll believe Kyrie's coming back.
Can't mention the NBA without the Pistons last night, too. A 17-point underdog on the road at Milwaukee, and they win the game.
G League players.
Yes.
7 G League players, 7 10-day contracts. They beat the defending champion, Saddiq Bey. Let me tell you about Saddiq Bey real quick. Saddiq Bey has 133 points in 5 games. He has 52 rebounds in the last 5 games. He is playing like the Saddiq Bey that was first-team All-Rookie last year.
Without question. Tom Mazaway is back with us today. How
Uncle
you feeling,
Maz.
Tom?
I'm feeling great, man. Happy 2022, I think
My
it is,
God.
right?
That's what it is,
It's
baby.
all good.
Look
It's
at
all
you
good.
in Times Square when the ball dropped.
I was not, but my girls were there earlier in the day.
Oh, okay.
And great time to go to New York is New Year's Eve day.
Yeah.
It is empty.
Right.
And
Wow.
then it's empty.
Wow.
It's a great time to go. They scoot around. They do a little of, they get the tree.
Sure.
They go shopping.
Yeah.
They eat, and they get back to Jersey just in time.
Yes.
Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Oh, I had a ball. My girls surprised me, Stan.
Really?
My girls surprised me. On Christmas morning, I woke up to a brand new football, which I love.
Oh, wow.
NFL football.
There you go.
Brand new. The Duke. And
Right.
then they did a video for me. And the video said, we're going to take you to the Pro Football Hall of Fame tomorrow, Dad, on our way to New Jersey, because we go visit my
Wow.
family in New
Yeah.
Jersey. We stopped in the great state of Ohio,
Sure.
Yeah.
well, the not so great state of Ohio, and we went
Yeah.
to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
4.5 hours I put those girls through the paces.
They love their dad. Now, at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, was there anything that you saw that perhaps was in a game this year at all?
I did. I came across the Justin Tucker exhibit. Yes, his whole uniform,
Right.
his shoe, and the football that went over the goalpost, 67 yards long at Ford Field. 1917 Ravens beat the Lions.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you're getting a look at that beaut of a picture right now. Tom Mazaway next to the Justin Tucker, number 9, the shoe, the football, all that good stuff.
That's a
Welcome
great.
back,
And I got to visit John Madden, not knowing the next day he would leave us. I got
Wow.
to see the John Madden bust, and
Yeah.
I was still in shock. There it is.
Yeah.
I think
The
that
great John Madden.
I think myself, Ryan, and Alex were probably rushing to the group text to be the first one to tell you that John died.
Yeah.
And then Alex won because we were thinking about you when it happened, big guy, and Alex beat us to
Broke
the
my
punch.
heart, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe. I almost think, and not to go off on a tangent, but I almost think that documentary contributed in some sort of way
Letting him go.
to the death. It let him go. Whatever he was carrying. When you see how people talk about you in such a beautiful, positive way, the impact that you have on so many people's lives, I think you exhale a little bit. And, you know, I said this yesterday, the last thing in that documentary is John Madden saying, wow, this made me realize some things that I didn't realize. And that's how it ends.
They had 50 extra minutes that they let him watch. It was 50 extra minutes that we didn't see that was strictly
For him.
coaches and players telling them exactly what he meant to them.
Wow.
And Ronnie Lott put a picture up on Twitter, and you could see John was frail. He had he's been through the mill.
Big guy.
He's been through the mill, and to watch that live, you saw how people loved you. It's like going to your own funeral.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly what it is. Wow.
You don't have to tell my story. I'm fine.
Not a good experience?
No, I just say, don't tell my story. I'm okay.
Don't tell your story.
Yeah.
I thought you meant what I misunderstood.
Stan, you can still play.
Yeah, one play didn't come at me.
Give me out. Tap out. Guys, let's get to the University of Michigan if we could. Big show for you today. We're going to talk about this transfer portal. Caleb Williams in it. We're going to talk about the Antonio Brown situation. Some new information coming out in regards to that Washington football team. My goodness, they are releasing their new nickname coming out on February 22nd, and we know
February 2nd.
February 2nd, and we know what it is, and we'll tell you why. Dan Luss, sports attorney to the Stars, going to join us at 3:24. But I do want to start with Michigan. Stan, you had said that the 3 hours of hell essentially during the holiday week wasn't exactly what you were hoping for or thinking would happen. But just your comments. Braylon and I had an opportunity to talk at length yesterday about it, and your initial thoughts on it now that we've had a couple of days to sit.
Well, 2 hours and 55 minutes to be exact. So Georgia obviously gets to kick off. They go down and score. Sometime in the first series is not going to be indicative of what's going to happen in the game. So Michigan gets the ball, and they're moving first, second down. Next thing you know, K drops back. The C opens up, runs for a nice first down on a quarterback draw or whatever he scrambled. And then they got to, I think, somewhere around the 40, 45-yard line.
41.
It became 3rd and 4. They didn't get it. So it was 4th down and 4. We're both saying, punt the ball.
Oh, my God.
Punt the ball. And they're going for it. I'm like, it's not the place to do it. Don't know how the game's going to unfold, but this is not do it. So they're good for it, and then they didn't get it, and the rest of everybody else in the house said, it was a good play. He was open. Say, no, the risk was not worth it. It just wasn't. Now, don't know how much that turned the game, but from that point on, it was strictly down here. I never thought Georgia was that good of a team before the game was played. Georgia is a little bit better than I thought they were. Their front seven and their linebackers are pretty darn good football players. But there's quarterback, there's skilled players on both sides of the ball. Those guys are okay. They're above average. There's nothing great about it. I'm reading stuff online how fast they are. No. They weren't. University of Michigan decided not to play that football game. I don't know what it was. I don't know. They looked lethargic. They were moving around in places where they weren't ready to play. I think if they played Georgia 3 more times, they would win at least 1, if not 2. The best team that Michigan could have fielded didn't play that night. Georgia's not that good a football team. We lost by a lot, so I really can't say that publicly, although I just did. But I was really disappointed in how we played. I just know that the best Michigan football team didn't show up that day.
Yeah, 100%. And that's along the lines of what I was saying yesterday. I was trying to tread the lines. You don't want to deal with the BS and the backlash. But I agree. I said if you stack Michigan at their best and you stack Georgia at their best, I think Georgia's slight edge. I give them a slight edge and not much. 2 things, and I've talked about it yesterday. I'll talk about it again. When Texas A&M had Johnny Manziel and they beat Alabama, was Texas A&M a better team than Alabama and Nick Saban that was ranked number 1 at the time? No, they weren't. What did they have at quarterback? A special player. Michigan has a special.
Luke Joko at left tackle. Mike Evans at wide receiver. And a Heisman winning quarterback. I'm not so sure they weren't better than Alabama that year.
Those are 3 players compared to Alabama's number 1, all the players they had. And they had.
Who won the game?
They had 8 players drafted in the first round that year, and they still won national championship. All I'm saying is you had a special player quarterback. Quarterback is a player. When you play against these teams, when you play against Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, those are the teams that are usually there at the end. Everybody else that makes it is a one-off. What is everybody else that had? They had a special quarterback. Michigan has a special quarterback, but he didn't play in that game when he should have started the second half. That's all I'm saying. Michigan still, and the other thing that I will say, let me finish that point about Michigan having a special quarterback. Jason McCarthy showed you time in and time again. He could have got around some of those blitzing guys. He showed you he can make the throws under duress. He showed you he can make the plays when Kobe Dean was running scot-free up the middle. He showed you he wasn't scared of Jordan Davis. I'm just saying you got to make business decisions. How often do you get a chance to get to the college football playoffs? Not often. I can name you teams that have only been once. Oregon once, FSU once, MSU once, Washington once, LSU once, Michigan and Cincinnati now one time. Everybody else is always there at the same time. They always go. You know what? When you go, you got to pull out all the stops. We've talked about this going into the game. We talked about the Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa situation. We talked about the start of the season for Clemson when he benches Kelly Robinson, who's a quarterback that literally got you to a national championship the year before. He benches him and puts Trevor Lawrence in. You got to pull out all the stops when you get to this point. The other thing, into what you're saying about the players and the difference in terms of the lethargicness of those players, this just came to my attention. You look at what Michigan did when they were down there. They were enjoying themselves. They were having fun. Like what you're supposed to do. It almost seems like getting to that game was enough. It almost seemed like getting there was excitement enough. Meanwhile, Georgia didn't go to any of the functions, any of the events. They came on the business. You saw Alabama say the same thing the night of the morning of the game. They were interviewed. He said, the starting linebacker, Will Anderson said, and I quote, "We opted not to do any of the events leading up to the game. We opted not to do anything with Cincinnati. All we did was watch film, stay in the hotel. It was a business trip for us." And it seemed like it was a business trip for Georgia, who some of the players were on that team when they lost to Alabama 4 years ago.
Now, those extracurricular activities, I don't know how much that played into the performance of Michigan, but I'm going to agree and disagree with you about the quarterbacking, because I think what happened, the plays were there for Cade to make. I remember one time that Campbell was in the end zone. He had gotten so gunshot because he had gotten hit so much. When he dropped his head, he decided to go down and go down. They showed one time he ducked up and he was running upfield ready to go down, and they showed the crossing route go right in front of him, wide open.
With Dylan, I saw we were right.
All they had to do was keep his head up and hit him right open. He wasn't about to get tackled or not. So I think part of our psyche for that game was not in place, and we weren't ready to play the game. That's the only thing I can think of. Because, again, Georgia's not that much better than us. They're not, if they are at all.
How do you characterize the Michigan football season now? Jim Harbaugh called it one of the greatest seasons in Michigan football history. We'll get your reaction, and you'll hear from Jim. We'll do it all next. Hermione and Edwards.
Woodward Sports Network, the bottom line.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Hey,
K-State
everybody.
by 7.
Hey, thanks, Beck. We're talking about the place that we put our bets in. That's right. That's our studio sponsor. It's mybookie.ag. That's what we're talking about, because that's where I put all my bets in. It's our studio sponsor as well. And if you're a first-time sports gambler, you might want to give them a try. Use that promo code Woodward, because they'll double your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. You got college football tonight, the Tax Act Bowl. We've all been waiting for this. This is the end of the college football season as far as bowls go. National championship coming up on Monday. Tonight you got LSU and K-State. K-State is favored. I don't even know if LSU has a coach yet, but we'll find out. You can play that game, a full slate of NBA, the NHL coming back as well. So get on it right now at mybookie.ag. Use that promo code Woodward to double your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. If you have a gambling problem, please call the Michigan Gambling Problem Hotline, 1-800-270-7117.
Hermione and Edwards, the bottom line, Woodward Sports Network. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Twitter, Twitch, however you're consuming Woodward Sports Network, we certainly appreciate it. Ryan Hermione, Braylon Edwards, Stan Edwards alongside as well. Guys, I wanted to ask you about, how would you characterize this Michigan season? Jim Harbaugh said this in regards to the totality of the season, regardless of the way it ended.
Yeah, it was a great season. To me, it's one of the best seasons in Michigan football history. We were trying to make it greater. We were trying to make it greater tonight, but it was still a great season. Though this team.
So there you go, and that's the best part. He goes on and on, but trying to make it greater. But this is one of the great seasons in Michigan football history. I agree with him.
Oh, so do I. It was a magical season.
Yeah.
And no one expected them to get this far. They were expecting to lose to Washington. It's going to lose to Indiana. All those things happened. And again, starting the season not ranked in the top 25 and to get to the playoffs, no one would ever wrote that script before.
They're the first team in the college football playoff era to start the season unranked and make it to that. I mean, you're talking about first win at Wisconsin in 20 years, first win at Penn State in a number of years, first win against Ohio State in since in 10 years, but once, second time in 20 years, something like that. Oh, you won a Big Ten championship. You made it to Indianapolis for the first time ever, and you won the Big Ten championship. That's a great season.
Yeah, I think the only thing. There was that 2 to 3 week period of bowl prep. That's the only thing that had soured to me on the season because we beat Michigan State. We beat them. Forget that, And so that bowl prep, if that had been a little bit different, it would have been an outstanding season. But he said it's one of the best seasons Michigan. I totally agree with him. It was an absolutely outstanding season.
Yeah, it's no reason to take anything away from what he said. What he said is what he said, and he meant it. 12-2. Michigan, I think, has 12 win seasons in the last 40 years or 50 years, something like that. It was a magical season, like Dad said. You look at, you beat Ohio State, you go and you beat Iowa, and you didn't just beat Iowa, you beat up on Iowa in the Big Ten championship. You win Wisconsin. You won some tough games. Obviously you can say, well, Penn State weren't what they were and Wisconsin were. I don't want to hear that. They went into Wisconsin, got a tough win. They went into Penn State and were losing at the end of the game and had a tough win. They beat Ohio State at home. It was one of the most magical moments I think Michigan has seen in the past 30, 40 years. It was one of the best seasons. It just ended on a sour note. Now, where do we go moving forward in the offseason? What do we change about that game? What do we look ourselves in the mirror and say, with the exception of we were, a little lethargic in the game, how do we get better? Where were we outmanned? Where were we outclassed? And where weren't we outmanned and outclassed? That's what you got to look at now.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that segue. So when you look at the season and where everything is right now, over the past 3 or 4 years, there have been so many different changes with coordinators, with philosophies, particularly on offense. Don Brown had one philosophy on defense that stayed there way too long. Man and blitz. And but there were questions about a lot of different things, even off the field. And I think a lot of those questions have been answered. Toughness, check. Culture, check. Offensive philosophy, check. So there's a lot of things in place now. There's a great foundation in place to kind of build off of moving forward. You just got to keep making sure you bring in the right and the tough players to execute that. But I think they're long ways away from where they were before.
Connectivity is a big one. Check. They got guys that can connect now.
We've been talking about it way before the game started. Ryan lost his love for the game because the month break. That month break killed Michigan. It did. Now, they still might have lost to Georgia.
And it did with the Tigers in 06.
And they did with the Tigers in 12. I'm telling you, they were the best team in football when they broke after that Ohio State game.
They were.
They were the best team. Now, Georgia, they got their butt kicked by Alabama. They needed the time off. Now, I'm not taking a thing away from Georgia because the game I watched, it was men against the boys. And that kid that we made fun of, what's his name, Stetson Bennett?
Yeah.
He's a hell of a quarterback.
Played very well.
I think he's a hell of a quarterback. And Georgia earned that game. And how could Michigan not have been ready for that game? How could they not have been ready?
Well, if we look at our bowl results in the past 6 or 7 years,
20 and 26,
we haven't been playing well in that man. So there's something about Coach Harbaugh's program and bowl prep that needs to be looked at. I'm sure they call different folks and, hey, what do? Do you practice too much? Do you give them too much time off? There's a lot of things you got to do. So trying to keep guys sharp, everybody didn't have that down pat. So I'm not so sure Georgia does either.
Except Nick Saban.
Yeah, he does. But that's Nick Saban.
When you're going every year,
it's true.
That schedule is never going to change.
And Nick Saban has not won every bowl game either. Let's be clear about that.
That schedule is never going to change. When I was at Michigan, there was a break between, because I played before Thanksgiving against Ohio State, so I had before Thanksgiving, played the game. Now I got to wait all the way to January 1. Same schedule's in place when my dad played as well. So the schedule's already been there. It's always been that way. The point what Dad makes, though, is the point. It's the preparation. And we talked about this, Ryan. We talked about, like, Lloyd, I feel like Lloyd went too hard on us my freshman year, and we had no energy, and we got macked by Tennessee, which is where it was a better team anyway. My sophomore year, we beat Florida. But the 2 years after that, he got it. Like, he didn't get it right against USC. We still were tired as hell when that game started. That Texas game, he changed everything that he had done before. We were a lot of shorts, a lot of shells, not hitting out there, not hitting before we left Oosterbar. We weren't hitting, a lot more lacking, more mental. It was more mental practices, more walkthroughs, things of that nature, more light lifts, things of that. We were ready when we played Texas, and we just lost in the end.
You know, Maz, to your point, though, too, I do think, and again, everybody's playing by the same rules, so I'm not trying to make excuses. It is just a fact, though, that when you are playing well, what's the one thing you want to keep doing?
Keep playing.
Keep playing. When you are not playing well, what's the one thing you want to do?
Take a break.
You need a break. You know, I mean, it's just the way it is. And just go through any sport, football, basketball, baseball, when there is that long layoff and you're not used to it. Look, Alabama does it every year. These players year in and year out, they make it. Georgia, this is the second time many of those players have made it to the national championship game. You know, the upperclassmen specifically, they were freshmen on that last national championship team. Clemson has done it twice. Ohio State's been there every year. Look, the same rotation outside of that number 4 team. You know, you have the same teams every year except for that 4th team that rolls in every year and gets freaking blown up.
There's only been 2 first-timers to win it all in the college football playoff. There's only been 2 first-timers to get in there, get it right the first time, and that was Ohio State in 2014, and that was LSU in 2019. They're the only 2 to figure it out. It is a tough thing to figure out. Like, look at Notre Dame. How many times Notre Dame been? They can't figure it out. Oklahoma can't figure it out.
Let me ask you
the
guys
Big
this.
Ten can't figure it out.
Ohio State did win once.
Not only the Big Ten. Let me ask you guys this.
Nobody's ever going to beat the SEC.
Now,
or down south.
Braylon,
those players are too hungry.
Braylon,
it comes from a hungrier coach.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Who wins? Clemson, down south. SEC, Georgia, down south. Alabama, down south.
Let me go there.
LSU, down south.
Let me go there because I'm going to list for you the national champions. We're going to take a break. Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Alabama, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State in 2014-2015 is the last national championship. Now that you see kind of what you're up against here, if you're the Michigan Wolverines, or hell, if you're the Michigan State Spartans, you see now what you're up against. What does it take? Does Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines, can they overtake in Alabama? Can they overtake?
Yes, I agree, but you got to get more players that come from down there that are hungry like that. Or Ryan, you need some hungry players.
Let me take a break, and we'll talk more about this. Can Michigan or anybody else, Notre Dame, throw them into the mix here? Can a team north of the SEC, or even, can Clemson even get back to where they are? You know what I mean? Armani and Edwards.
Woodward Sports Network, the bottom line.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. I'm proud to partner with Hall Financial, the mortgage company known for 5-star service. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their 5,000 5-star reviews for yourself. Go to callhallfirst.com and get started with your 5-star experience today.
The pros know. Go! Listen Monday through Friday for Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network with Stanley Cup champ Darren McCarty, former Lion Joik Bell, and the silky voice of Neil Rule.
Hey guys, want to let you know about Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. We like simple stuff. It doesn't get much more simpler than coming on in and relaxing at Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. I'm looking out the window right now. If you pick up the Maz cam, maybe you can, maybe you can't. You're going to see a guy getting a nice shampoo job right now. Oh, just off to the side. Can't see it. Off to the side, getting a nice relaxing head scratch massage. Oh, ooh-wee, man. You don't want that? Well, if you don't want that, man, this isn't the place for you. But if you do want that, relaxation, we've got it for you. Come on in, walk in, sign in, sit down. Before you know it, you are handsome and clean. Open 7 days a week, 10 to 8. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome. Braylon, you missed the wicked awesome. I was waiting for All right, guys. Hey,
my severe apology.
He's spraying that Creed on. That's what he's doing.
You know what I'm saying? That's that original, man.
Guys,
Shout out to Ryan on that.
I want to ask you, because this is an important point. I mean, you look at the national champions since the college football playoff era: Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Alabama, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State. One team in the Midwest, in the North, however you want to characterize geographically where Ohio State is. Now that you see what you're up against, can the Michigan Wolverines, can Michigan State, Notre Dame, Penn State, in the Pac-12,
offensive and defensive line,
throw the
is the key to
Pac-12
those
in there
winners.
too.
Part of it.
How do you beat the SEC in this format right now, Stan Edwards?
Well, it's multifaceted. You have to really figure out how to develop and get some of those 6'3" to 6'6", 300 to 350 pound run stoppers that can run. A lot of those guys grow up running. When you look at most of the skilled players that go in the first round, they all run sub 4.4 or somewhere around 4.4 depending on size. They have far more speed than we have. In the North, we value 7-on-7. All our skilled players play 7-on-7. They don't run track. So therefore, we're not that fast. And so on either side of the ball. And so that's why they run past us all day long. Every now and then we'll have a fast kid here and there. But they have teams, their linebackers are former safeties.
Nakobe Dean.
That ran track.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get that up here. These guys play 7-on-7. Track is a hard sport to train for. People avoid it because they got this new thing called social media and 7-on-7. And when you do 7-on-7 tournaments, you get likes from schools. When you get offers, you stop training. That's one of the reasons why we can't beat them, because they're much faster than us. I think the other reason why, too, I think the emphasis on football down there, we got to decide that you can emphasize football and still get an education. I think up here in the North and some of the schools that are great academic schools, we act like there are no doctors and lawyers coming out of the SEC. We act like there are no financial advisors, folks going to Wall Street coming out of the SEC, and they are. The excuse we make is, well, football or sports is not that important. We're about academics. You can have both, because I remember when I went to school in Michigan, the graduation rate today is not better than what we have, and I have 3 Big Ten championship rings.
That's right. Braylon, can Michigan or take Michigan on? I mean, any team. Outside of the SEC and in one or two others, can a Pac-12? When's the last time a Pac-12 school never won a championship before?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that to a certain extent. I think football is king in the South, and we know that. We know that to be fact. It starts at a young age and it continues. Track is a large part of that. When you go to especially Texas, Miami, Florida, Georgia, places like that, you can run outside pretty much year-round. Like, it's hard up here to run track. It's hard indoor track season and getting parents to do that. So I get that as well. Being able to run track all year round versus up here, you got to go indoor. That is tough. Being from a kid that did that, saw that, parents have a problem with that. The other side of it, it goes to those trenches. It goes back to what he said. It goes to the offensive line and it goes to the defensive line. When you can recruit defensive linemen that can rush the ball, like Jordan Davis, that can rush the ball like all of Alabama's team. Do you remember Clemson's defensive line when they won national championship and they lost one, which they could have won as well? Right. 3 first-rounders. Right. And then the leader of that defense win the second round. That's what. Look at Ohio State when they won. Do you remember those big boys on that D-line? That's one of the best defensive lines Ohio State or the Big Ten has ever seen. And that's when Joey Bosa was young on that team. Joey Bosa was a sophomore on that team when they won a national championship. So what I'm saying is, when you get the guys that can run and block up front on both sides like they have down south, then you can win. I have no problem with the skill, have no problem with the quarterback, none of that other stuff. Offensive line and defensive line, when you get the guys that can match up with Georgia, match up with Alabama, match up with Clemson when they were good, then you're talking.
I disagree with you. Most skilled players in the Big Ten and in the North, they can't run. Overall, they can't run. You'll get an occasional fast kid, but most of them can't run because they don't spend time.
I'm saying where it starts for me.
Yeah, I get it.
Guys, I wanted to transition a little bit to the transfer portal, because we have seen this thing turned into a little bit of a free-for-all, or a lot of bit of a free-for-all.
It's a new age.
You know, Ryan Day at Big Ten Media Day said 5 years from now, you will not recognize college football. And a
little bit
is true. So let me put up for you Caleb Williams. This is his message. He has entered the transfer portal. And Caleb Williams, by the way, essentially, and I'm not going to read his whole thing that he put out, but he's essentially saying to himself, and not to himself, he's essentially saying out loud to everybody that I'm willing to go to the highest bidder. This is free agency at its finest. You are allowed one transfer clean in your career in college athletics. You can't transfer to 4 different places and not be penalized. You get one. So a lot of players are doing that now. I believe upwards of 700 players are in the transfer portal in Division I, Division II, Division III.
Sure.
In all 3 this year. That, a year ago this time there was 160. And his dad even came out and said, we are willing to.
Carl Williams.
Yeah, Carl Williams,
There
father
it
of
is.
Caleb Williams, told Yahoo Sport that the family has followed the NCAA process. His son doesn't have a destination picked out. He is wide open. Williams stressed that prepping his son to be an NFL quarterback is going to be the most important factor. And Williams did say he has not ruled out a return to Oklahoma. So
he ain't going back.
Look, I don't know if he is or not.
There's already a guy transferring to OU.
But this
is
is
Dylan Gabriel kid.
UCF. There's many different layers to this. I feel like I don't like this. I don't want to walk the fence here, but in one aspect, I do understand these coaches can go make all this money and go wherever they want and just up and leave, and there's no loyalty, but the kid is stuck where the kid is stuck. And then you get this transfer portal where it's just this massive free-for-all.
Yeah.
And I understand it, but I don't like it. I wish that there was some sort of, I don't know,
limitation,
limit on it somewhere.
I hope the NCAA is not saying, I told you so.
Yeah.
And they're setting all this up. Can you imagine what he would have been worth coming out of college?
Yeah.
And the post that I'd have been
It's a
making.
new rule.
But see, here's to your point. When they start allowing coaches to get programs on probation and then go to other schools and sign more money or leave in the middle of the night, this is what you open yourself up to. I've been the broken record of saying, I had to pay to go watch him play. There are other wives and coaches' wives and people who are not part of the university got their bowl ticket paid for. So I'm for the players receiving some level of what's rightfully theirs. But this I'm concerned about. There's something about this that I think is going to get way out of hand, probably under 3 years, and then people are going to say, hold it, stop it. We have to fix this.
Yeah, Ryan and Money, I see you with the assist over there. Good job, big guy. I agree with that. I'm very in for athletes getting money. I'm actually in favor and happy that they're getting what they're worth. We saw so many situations where these kids didn't have money for food. These kids and people think that's a joke. Like when I say guys were up there struggling, they didn't have money for food, they didn't have money for dates, they didn't have money for gas, they were in bad spots. Like this is a real thing. So I'm happy you see guys like Blake Corum getting money. I was actually at an autograph signing that he was at, and then you see the work that he's doing with the money. He's donating to the homeless. So they're doing some good work. But I agree with Dad too, man. Like it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna start being like you gotta get the law involved because it's gonna be it just opens the floodgates for the potential. You remember the 90s and NCAA, it was scandal after scandal. It was throwing the game, it was shaving points, and this was like now you're giving them money. Now you got teams battling. Well, now you get this alum versus this alum. Now you got Stephen Ross versus Matt Ishbia. Well, I'll give him this. Well, I'll give him this. Well, I'll do this. Well, I'll do that. Like it's gonna get to a point where it's taking fully away from what Maz loves, and that's the game itself. It's going to get to that point where it's going to get ugly, and the NCAA is going to be like, oh, we were waiting for this. We told you.
Yeah, and so here's when it's going to stop, is when the player moves out of his apartment and moves right across the street from the head coach. They're like, okay, this is not going to make sense now. I live in a $3 million home, and so do you? Okay.
Here's the kicker, man. Real. These coaches, they better be ready.
Yeah.
Mel Tucker, he's ready. He's already been on that transfer portal and brought people over.
Right.
Jim Harbaugh, he better be ready. Guys like that, better be ready because it's a new way. You're not recruiting anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're selling. Now it's just
like
a sales job.
Yeah.
It's a sales job. You can recruit anyone you want, but you'll get another chance at that kid down the line.
Oh, and not to cut you off. Speaking of Mel Tucker and the transfer portal, Wake Forest has a running back that just entered the transfer portal. So hurry up and somebody go get him for Mel Tucker gets him, and he ends up being a Heisman Trophy candidate as well.
By the way, we forgot to say David Ajabo
Yes.
has declared for the NFL. So is Jalen Naylor.
Had to go. Both had to go.
Yep.
Jabo can't even make money in NIL. He had to get out of there because he's an international student.
Let me ask you this question in regards to Caleb Williams, because you want the player, and parents have to be very influential, or whoever. You have to be very influential, and you have to play this thing smart, because number one, your eyes on the prize has to be the NFL, right? If you're Caleb Williams' father, what situation, how do you balance? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, how do you balance trying to capitalize and make what you can make now with doing what's best in the long run to becoming an NFL quarterback? What balance is there on that? Because I do think that potentially could be two different things. What's best for me right now in terms of making money right now, and how will I be a better NFL quarterback? What balance is that? I want to ask you guys about it next. Armani and Edwards.
Woodward Sports Network, the bottom line.
I do think that's two different questions.
Spin Goblin, I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Putting on a show here, and that's how you answer. We love our sports. We just wish they'd love us back. Detroit sports for Detroit sports fans. Woodward Sports.
I'm going to give you an example for my question, okay? We have seen in the past, and we'll just use Jim Harbaugh just because it's easy. Jim Harbaugh is a guy that can make you the best NFL quarterback out there. And again, this is a hypothetical argument. I know my son Luke would be ready for the NFL for playing for Jim Harbaugh right now and for the next 3 years. But my son Luke, he can make $1 million right now to go play for Central Michigan University. What is my responsibility as a parent? Is my son Luke going to be more equipped to make more money going to Central Michigan and playing for Jim McElwain, or this guy at Michigan that we absolutely know is going to get him ready to play in the NFL for 12, 15 seasons?
Well, he's got to play for Coach Harbaugh because Coach McElwain don't know what the hell he's doing. That's a whole nother separate show. But this is a good point.
He won a bowl game.
Yeah, because you got to decide, how do you manage the desire to always try to work to get better when a kid's making $1 million? $1 million is not anything to sneeze at. It's not generational wealth. And so there's a difference. And some people think $1 million, I hit the lotto, life is great. Life is great for maybe a few months.
Yeah.
You know, because $1 million is not what it's going to, what do you think it might be? So trying to manage a kid, and yeah, it is. I'm not turning it down, but trying to manage a kid's work ethic and his desire to get better while paying him that kind of money, that's a delicate balance, and I'd be interested to see who's able to do that.
Think about the transfer portal when Tom Brady was playing at Michigan.
Oh boy!
Hold on, man? Are you stealing my notes? Are we just that connected at the hip? I promise you, I have that ready. Where's my notes?
I mean, seriously.
I think I brought that up about a month and a half ago.
Did you?
Don't remember?
No.
What would the transfer portal have been
Look at that first,
for Tom Brady?
Look next to the first topic right there. What does it say?
Tom Brady ?
Oh my God!
Seriously,
This is great.
You know, I mean, look. What about Brian Griese? Brian Griese was not even coming back to college in '97 after the '96
season. Yeah, Leffler. He had a couple guys overhead him.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do think it helps you be better when you do have to fight and claw, and you learn all these things about perseverance. And I do, no matter what generation you are, I do think those are life lessons that are irreplaceable.
It is, but here's the thing, Ryan, like, and Dad can attest this as well. You guys know this, but you don't know from the inside. There's so many politics in sports.
I bet.
Like, the higher the level, the more the politics. Sometimes there's a situation where you can't win. Like, regardless of how hard you fight, how hard you try, how hard you play, how well you play. And that's Tom Brady's situation, if you want to know in a nutshell. They had to play him. He was the number one quarterback in the country. He was already going to the Yankees. They promised him
Drew Henson.
Talking about Drew Henson out of Brighton High School. Promised that he would play. Looked his dad in the face. The Yankees were breathing down Lloyd's neck as well. So they split time with Tom Brady, a guy that got it, a guy that won, a guy that came, the cardiac kid, as they called him when he finally took over. There was a situation where Tom did all he could. And eventually he won the job, but he had to put up with that back and forth for a year and a half. And that's why, sometimes there's a situation you can't win, but to your point, it did make Tom Brady what he is today.
Yeah, I don't really know exactly how coaches manage this. You know, when you got to now start managing, you have to manage through the recruitment process when they're in high school. That's a lot of babysitting that a lot of coaches don't like. But now you have to manage them while they're in college now too. So you don't cut ties. Typically a coach and a staff and an organization will cut ties with the parents once the kid signs his national letter of intent. And you see the parents at, different holidays and everything, and that's it. Now you have to be in constant contact with the parents to make sure the kid is happy, the family's happy, and everything else. That's something I don't wish on anybody, but it has to be managed properly. It's going to be really interesting to see how guys like Nick Saban, the game is changing on him too. He's winning now, but what's more important to a kid, to play for Nick Saban or to get money someplace else? Because he hasn't lost anybody yet.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Can you see him go to Georgia?
Yeah.
I say he slips right into Georgia.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got the right colors on to make that
Watch
comment.
out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I didn't consider.
There it is.
But I mean, you got Bo Nix going from Auburn to Oregon. It's you go from big program to big program.
Alabama's got their guy. If Georgia wants to stay with them, I think Georgia wins on Monday night. If you ask me,
I think Alabama's going to win.
I'm going with Vegas.
I'm going with Georgia.
Yeah, well, they're begging you to take Alabama in the 3. So.
I'm going with Georgia because John Mechie's not playing. John Mechie,
yeah, that's true.
Like you saw the John Mechie effect when they played against Cincinnati. Like, obviously, they ran the ball, Brian Robinson. They knew that they can just bulldoze him, so they chose to run the ball past a little bit. But he struggled without John Mechie. When you got the guy that's number 5 receiver in the country, and then you got a guy that's arguably number 2, and you go back and forth, or 3 and 7, wherever you want to put them, they both are somewhere in the top 5, top 8. When you lose one of those guys, and now it's just about this other guy, and they don't have a premier tight end like Georgia has in Brock Bowers, they don't have that guy. Usually Alabama's always had a couple wide receivers, really good running back, and a tight end. They don't have a really good running back, got a pretty good running back, don't have that tight end, and they got one wide receiver and a young wide receiver, number 7. Can't think of his name.
I think Michigan lost to the best team.
Yeah.
I do. I think they lost to the best team.
I don't think they did. Again, like I said, I think Georgia front interior, defensive interior 7, I think they won. They're outstanding. After that, I think they're above average in all those positions. I don't think they're that good.
Guys, I want to transition a little bit in the remaining 15 minutes that we have with Stan to the Antonio Brown situation, because there is a little bit more information that came out. I want to play for you the Michael Lombardi that he did in his GM Shuffle podcast. Michael Lombardi, of course, former NFL front office guy, very close with Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, used to work for the Patriots. Here's what he had to say about Antonio Brown's situation, in which Antonio Brown said, "Coach, I'm hurt. I can't go back in." Well, if you can't go back in, you're done. And that's when AB left. Apparently that's the story goes. Here's Michael Lombardi.
He had an ankle all week long. He didn't practice Thursday or Friday. I was surprised he was activated for the game. I really was. And, he played in the game, and then he told them he wasn't right. And they said, "Get back in the game. You're cleared to play." And usually when a player tells a coach he doesn't feel right, the coach doesn't challenge him. Because, you can't get into the mind of a player. Apparently, according to people in Tampa, when he said, "I'm not healthy," they said, "Well, then you're out of here. You're fired. You're gone. You're off the team." So they fired him on the spot. And then he took it to another level. There's deeper issues here. We all understand that. not trying to understand or justify his behavior. I'm just trying to recognize it and try to at least allow two sides to every story. I think there's both at fault. The reaction was bad and the handling of the player, especially with injury. I mean, when you tell a player that he's not hurt, you're really questioning a lot of things about the player. That's something coaches typically never do.
And that's an interesting point, too. I mean, there are two sides to every story, maybe three sides to every story. And I always feel like, and not to stick up for Antonio Brown because there's a lot there, but I do feel like Bruce Arians has had it out for him for a long time. What do you guys think?
Well,
I'll let Dad go first.
This is the first time I've heard that from Mike Lombardi. And that is very interesting because antics on the side, Antonio Brown comes to play. And he wants to be one of the best receivers to ever play in the game. And he shows up, and his work ethic is
second to none.
Yeah. And so I can't see any reason why Antonio Brown would say, I don't want to go back into a game. That seems really odd to me. And Antonio Brown's antics after that still, to me, sounds like somebody that has some mental issues and he needs to be dealt with.
Sure.
Because if he was putting you at health risk, which sounds like he may have been, Coach Arians, you still cannot perform that way. I'm sorry.
100%.
So I'm not dropping everything in Antonio's lap because when that piece you just heard, I had to sit back and like, really? There's something going on here that's far beyond what happened on Sunday. There's something else at play here.
Yesterday when we talked, the thing that I said, because of Antonio Brown's antics in the past, he is not given the benefit of the doubt. And when you look at the situation like that, as it's being laid out by Lombardi, you basically realize that Bruce Arians felt like he was doing Antonio Brown a favor. By having him on the team after he wanted to kick him off, he was doing him a favor, trying to get him back in the game, didn't want to listen to him, didn't want to believe him once again because of the antics. And I also agree with Dad. Like his antics were too much. But we talked yesterday, Ryan, in extensive. We talked about CTE. We talked about mental health. You as a coach, you as coaches, you know who you're dealing with. You know he's not round exactly tight. You know he's dealing with things like that. You know individuals. Your job as a coach is to know your personnel, know your players. You know some guys you can talk to this way, some guys you can't talk to that way. That's just the nature of the beast. Starts in Little League, goes all the way through college. If you know that this is a guy that you're talking to, Antonio Brown, you know that this can be his potential reaction to you giving him an ultimatum if he's telling you that he's hurt. And he didn't practice that week. You know how that guy will respond. You know how Mike Evans will respond. He wouldn't do that. You could tell Mike Evans something like that. You could tell somebody else something like that. AB, you know what you're going to get. So, yes, he shouldn't have responded that way, but you knew he was going to respond like that.
All I know is who has ever told a player in game,
on the field,
in game, you're cut. You know, if you got issues with him, that usually happens in the locker room and everything.
What's his response supposed to be?
Yeah. Did he ride the plane back? I mean, all that.
No, he's still in New Jersey. He went to the Nets game.
He went to the Nets game last night.
Yes, he didn't.
Set courtside. Let's say everybody is sane. Let's say he's not sane. Let's say that you say this to a sane individual, whatever the hell you think sane is. You say it to a sane person, even what you believe to be a sane person. If you tell him, hey, look, man, if you don't go in the game, then you're cut. Right then and now, on the field. We're football players, man. We ain't got it all. Out of trip, too.
Yeah, to your point, Braylon, there needs to be some kind of investigation.
Agreed.
On Bruce Arians and what led to that, cutting somebody during the game.
Not to mention, is that even legal?
I was just going to say the same thing. I don't know.
Let's talk more about this. And, you know, there needs to be some sort of investigation into Bruce Arians as well. If you're trying to put an injured player back in the game, if I'm the NFL Players Association, I've got a major problem with that. There could be a potential lawsuit.
That's another reason why Antonio Brown is still on what?
The
Tampa
payroll.
Bay Buccaneers roster.
Armani and Edwards.
Woodward Sports Network. Dang, that was good. The bottom line.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Because how do you cut somebody?
I'm going to tell you like this. With this time of year coming up, I'm sorry Michigan's not in it. Michigan State isn't either. We're sitting on the sidelines, but Alabama and Georgia are. You know what you should do for the game next Monday? Ryan, you know what they should do?
What should they do, Braylon?
They
Tell
should
us.
go down to their local neighborhood liquor store. Grab you some Gypsy vodka, gluten-free.
And if they don't have Gypsy vodka, you know what you should do?
Tell them Ryan and Braylon sent you. Then they'll go get their personal stash. Because guess what? Everybody's asking about Gypsy vodka. Adam and Mike got it right. Corn distilled 6 times with artesian spring water. This stuff is the truth. Go get you some of that. You got the national championship coming up next Monday. You got basketball. You even got a bowl game tonight, the TaxAct Bowl. LSU playing against, Kansas State. Get you some of this Gypsy vodka. But if you're going to drink responsibly. Gypsy vodka.
Oh, God. They're talking about Antonio Brown. So the story as it goes is Antonio Brown did not practice on Thursday or Friday because of an ankle.
Right.
And he played in the game, 5 targets, 3 catches, and then he said, I can't go anymore. And mind you, he was 3 catches away from $1 million bonus.
3 catches. He was 3 catches away from $333,000.
Yeah.
He was 46 yards away from $333,000, and then he was 1 touchdown away from $333,000.
So there were $1 million worth of incentives for Antonio Brown to go back in the game. He says, Coach, I can't play. My ankle's hurt again. And Bruce Arians reportedly said, well, you're fired then. You're cut. There's some major ramifications here, especially if he cannot play. Now, the Bucs have not cut him, and they have not cut him because they do not want him to show up on the Green Bay Packers, on the Kansas City Chiefs, on Dallas Cowboys.
No one's taking him.
I don't know. After this information that came out today, I'm not so sure.
Jerry Jones?
Because what Bruce Arians allegedly has said, that's a game changer.
Yep.
It's interestingly enough, Antonio Brown has not come forward. Usually after all of his antics, 48 hours or less, he's back on social media.
He's quiet.
He's saying anything. He's been quiet because I think he's talked to someone who say, hey, there's something else going on here. We got something here. Don't blow it.
Not to mention, did you watch Bruce Arians right after the game talk about it? We played it yesterday. It was 9 seconds. It was a 9-second clip. He's no longer a Buck. That was that. Did you watch Bruce Arians' comments yesterday? Very different. More compassion. It was empathetical. It was, hey, somebody wrap your arms around this guy. Hey, I always appreciate this guy. Like, it was very different from Sunday to Monday, the conversation and the rhetoric at the podium.
Hey, let's get Larry Foote on here. He's been on the show before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Let's get him on here. He'll tell everything. He'll tell the whole story, I think.
Well,
Not bad.
It is interesting, though, when you take
I'll
a player
text him right now.
like
thanks.
well, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
When you take a player like Antonio Brown and you essentially kick him off the team, because I think the more information you have about something, the better informed your opinion about it can be. And whereas yesterday I said that Antonio Brown will never play another game in the NFL in his life, I do think that's changed. If he wants to play, and this is accurate information, I do think there's another team that will pick him up.
Michael Gallup tore his ACL this past Sunday. That is a huge blow for the Dallas Cowboys because they had a 3-headed monster with CeeDee Lamb. You had Michael Gallup, and you had Amari Cooper. And then Amari Cooper. Then you also have Todd Schultz. Now you don't have Michael Gallup, and you have this interesting situation unfolding with Antonio Brown. That's not a bad pickup.
Well, I tell you, in years past, good old boys is not the right term, but coaches kind of talk to coaches, owners talk to owners. Jerry Jones wants to. He doesn't have any friends when it comes to winning.
Yeah.
And if it looks like that Antonio Brown was trying to be sincere about his injuries, and he was told, hey, get back in there, and he really couldn't play, I can see Jerry Jones being one of those guys like, hey, listen, I don't know what happened in Tampa. We have a needed wide receiver.
Right
this
now.
guy is healthy now. We'll take him.
Yeah, and you know what? You overlook. We can list off the laundry list of things that make Antonio Brown not the best guy you've ever met in your life.
Right.
But when you have a talent that goes far beyond anything that really 99% of the league can do, what Antonio Brown can do at that position, you make exceptions. And I do think you can make an exception for Antonio Brown. Can you imagine if Antonio Brown legitimately, and again, I don't know the information, but just based on what I'm hearing, if he's like, you know what, I can't go. I don't want to hurt my team out there. I cannot go. I mean, and then to have that happen to him, if he's trying to do the right thing by his team.
With all his antics, there are two places where he is never going to hurt you. When he's working to get ready for a game or for a season, and that's when he's in a game or he's already at an atmosphere. Those are two places you can always trust Antonio Brown. Now, there's other places, hey, you know what, I ain't got nothing to do with that. But on that field and that prep work to get on that field, that's two places you can trust him. Antonio Brown's motto is booming. That's his motto. He loves money. You think he's going to leave $1 million just out there because he's trying to be, because he's having an episode, because he's having a moment? Man, stop it.
And there's precedence, there's a track record, there's a paper trail on that injury. It's not like the injury happened in the game and he decided, I'm just going to shut it down.
It's not fairy tale.
Yeah.
I mean, he sat out Thursday, Friday. I want to, just looking at the YouTube chat, want to thank David C. David C. I see. I'm really enjoying this show so much better than Valeni.
Oh, wow.
I was gonna say 97-1, but look, we'll take it. Tell a friend about us, David. Thanks so much. We're just trying to give you a little bit of a different kind of sports talk,
Different
a little
spiel.
bit, right?
Different spiel.
Different. A little bit. We got Stan out here on Tuesdays. Tom Mazaway sitting.
I think you just gave Tom a heart attack.
Look, Valeni's the best, man. Those guys, he's been doing it a long, long time, and nobody's competing with anybody. We're just sitting here doing our own little thing, and hopefully people find us.
Just a squirrel trying to get a nut.
He can be a blowhard sometimes. Sometimes he can be a blowhard. Tell him I said it. All right?
I think he's watching.
I'm sure. I'm sure somebody will get that.
It's very researched.
Very good. We love everybody, and my guys over there too. We love Rico as well. But hey, we're doing our thing over here.
By yourself on that one, bro.
If you find us, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks so much. Hey, Tom, what'd you tell Larry Foote?
I told him we need him before 4 o'clock.
I'm sure he's going to get on now.
Coach Ghost is from here.
Hold it. He just wrote me.
Get out of here.
There we go.
All right, let's see. He's going to say, nah, Maz, I can't.
No, he didn't write me.
Stan, before we get you out of here, you got a thought on the Detroit Lions? I want to give you a chance. You're wearing your Lions Honolulu blue emblem today.
The Lions have been a very entertaining team throughout the entire year, and they've gotten better each week. Early on, they were trying to find their way. They haven't won any games. If I'm management, you have got to give this guy, and I'm talking about Dan Campbell and whoever he believes needs to remain on his staff, you got to give them at least 2 more years. I think they've earned 2 more years unless they completely bomb with their draft picks. Now, that may not always be Dan Campbell. That could obviously be Brad Holmes as well. But this team fought. And they fought and clawed, and every time they played somebody, they rarely got it in a game where they didn't know what's going to happen, and they fought. So I'm really proud of the Lions. I will want to end with this, though.
I got 2 questions for you, though.
I think Jim Harbaugh will get the month of December figured out. He had to figure out some things with quarterbacks. He had to figure out some things with coordinators. He got all that figured out. He's a bright man. He's a proud man. He'll get this last month figured out, and Michigan will be back on top of college football.
2 quick questions for you. 1, is Brendan Roethlisberger first ballot Hall of Famer? And 2, do the Browns move on without Baker Mayfield?
Wow,
yes and yes.
Big question.
Yes.
Yes and yes.
You want to explore those next, Braylon?
Yeah, let's do so.
All right, let's do it. Stan, we love you. Happy New Year to you.
Love you guys back.
And
Yes,
we'll see you next Tuesday. In
Yep.
the meantime, guys, we're coming back. Did you see that Monday Night Football game last night?
Man.
Wow. Sorry, I got to point this up. ESPN right now doing a thing. Which team will go from worst to first next season?
Detroit Lions.
Jeff Saturday says the Detroit Lions.
Wow. Go, Jeff.
Go.
Not ESPN.
love
That's an
Jeff,
interesting
man.
one. Maybe we can explore that
I'm
another
going to
time.
text him right now.
Jeff's actually a great guy. I met him with Marcus.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Marcus.
Guys, if you saw that Monday Night Football game last night, boy, I'll tell you, Baker Mayfield is not a very
There
good
was
quarterback.
only 2 things good in that game.
And Ben Roethlisberger, boy, when it falls hard. He is not very good at all. My goodness.
Only 2 things that are in that game worth watching. 1, it was Ben's last hurrah. He won, which he always does against the Cleveland Browns. Trust me, take it from personal experience. And then 2, TJ Watt is a damn man child.
20
Jesus
sacks.
Christ.
Are you
20 and a
kidding
half.
me? 20 and a half.
20 and a half. He's 21 and a half.
Yeah.
He's a half sack away from tying Strahan.
And that's another one. With this 17th game, Cooper Kupp now says you've got to separate the stats because he'll probably break Calvin's record. T.J. Watt will break Strahan's record. But, hey, there was a 14-game season, and then there was a 16-game season, and now there's a 17-game season.
You know what I love about T.J. Watt, though? He became the highest paid defensive player in football at the start of the season. And guess what he did? He went out there and damn near broke the record in 16 games. That's what you do when you get paid.
Right.
You earn your money. TJ Watt, good job.
That's what happens when you're chasing greatness.
Unlike Kenny Golladay.
You got a brother to chase first. That's crazy.
Kenny Golladay is trailing Taylor Decker in touchdown passes this season.
Wow.
And Eric Ebron.
And Eric Ebron.
Oh, wow.
Ebron's trailing
Ebron card.
All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. We'll be right back. Armani and Edwards.
Woodward Sports Network, the bottom line.
I'm Kay Cunningham. Working with Hall Financial to purchase my first home was easier than I could have ever imagined. They treated me like family from start to finish. Find out for yourself at callhallfirst.com.
It's the Lions pregame show, covering everything you need to know for game day. Join pros and Joes as we cover our hometown Detroit Lions. Opinions are like ear holes, and we're putting ours in yours.
Well, that's not winning, joint.
It's Woodward Sports.
Hey, gang, it's Maz for the Folding Warehouse at Hamtramck. Chris and Noni Hutt, your great hosts. And don't forget, Chris Hutt invented this game. What is folding? It's throwing a football at bowling pins. First one to knock them all down, you are the winner. Our guys won right here. Ryan and Braylon won our little, they had the first round bye, but they won our tournament.
Don't ever forget it.
Back in December or late November, whenever it was.
However
Host your corporate party. Just come in. There's two ways to play. It's $10 unlimited open play. You can go right at the start, and you can go right when they close the doors, or private lane reservation. 2 hours costs you $120. 10 people for 2 hours. Not bad. They have over 100 beers, mega open bars, and a $2 mystery beer machine. You bring the food or have it delivered in. It's the Folding Warehouse. Come get your fold on. Check them out at foldingwarehouse.com.
Very good. Armani and Edwards, the bottom line. Woodward Sports Network, hour number 2 of the program. Had so much fun in hour number 1. Hey, tell a friend about us as well. YouTube, Twitter. Tell a few of them. Yeah, we're here live from 2 to 4 on YouTube every single day. You can watch us on Twitter and on Twitch as well.
We're live on TV.
That's right. All you got to do, seriously, if you have Comcast specifically, and this is so very easy. All you have to do is in your voice-controlled remote, just press that little voice button and say Woodward Sports on YouTube, and we'll pop right up. It's so easy, and you don't have to be in the car. You don't have to be in front of a laptop. Watch us on your beautiful 50, 60, 70-inch television, and turn us on, have us on in the background. Little sports talk. We also have individual short clips as well if you don't want to go through the 2-hour
You can
show.
fast forward us. You don't like a segment? Fast forward it.
Absolutely. So there are so many ways to consume what we're doing here. And we think 2022 is going to be a big year for our show, for our network, for every show here, and we're looking forward to growing with you guys.
Hey, if you guys were listening or watching us, as Ryan said about 5 to 10 minutes ago, the comments made by One Stand Networks, they do not represent what we actually at this network. Well, no, I'm just joking. I'm just BSing.
We love those guys.
It's going to be a hell of a year, man. I'm excited. I think we came back with some new, fresh energy. I think, we all took, myself, Maz, Ryan, we took a week off leading into the new year, and I think you feel that energy. Like, I feel like a kid again. It feels like August 12th. It feels like when we first started and we're getting after it again. You got to do that sometimes, detach. And I'm excited, man. I'm ready to run. I'm ready to rip. Pistons are 2-0. What the hell? Let's do it.
Let's do
Football, man. NFL playoffs.
Oh, man. We're right
Next
there.
week, this Sunday, this Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, you got games.
I thought Maz was going to tackle me.
I know.
Just
you
now.
know what? This is a great time of year, and I know that the college is done outside of, there's a game tonight, LSU, Kansas State. Whether you have watched that or not is right. It's a poop game. But next Monday night, the national championship game. And outside of that, college football is done. But there is so much football to talk about. I mean, you've got the rest of the regular season, one more week in the regular season, and then the playoffs, obviously. Those are always big. Then for teams like the Lions, you're going to have a lot of movement, man. You have a lot of draft talk. There's going to be players. There's going to be mock drafts. That stuff's always fun. I love talking about those kinds of things. And then where the Lions are picking one or two, you're going to have some situations where maybe you can have a trade. You can be very active in this first round, especially with 2 first-round picks. So there's a lot to happen.
Lions are favored this week against the Packers. Now the Packers say they're going to come and try to win the game. I don't think they want to lose this game going into the playoffs. They're going to have a week off.
3 weeks essentially now before they play a meaningful game.
Yeah, they'll do something kind of similar. So the year I was in Cleveland, we won 10 games. To get our 10th win, we beat 49ers at home last game of the season, and then we had to wait and see what happened in the game between the Colts and the Titans. Titans were quarterbacked by Kerry Collins at the time. So Peyton and the starters, they played literally just the first quarter. Like, actually, they really only played about the first 2 series because Peyton was trying to get Reggie Wayne to 1,500 and 100 catches. So they literally came out, and it was the fastest I've seen a guy catch 12 passes.
Yeah.
Reggie Wayne had 12 catches like literally halfway through the first. But then they benched their guys, and they brought out Kerry Collins. I could see something similar like that for Green Bay against the Lions. It's a rivalry. It's a game. You want to have a couple games. You want to stay fresh. Go out there and treat it like a game 2 of the preseason. You go out there, you play a quarter, you get fresh, you stay in rhythm, you keep the rhythm going that you usually use. Lazard is back. You want to get him some more touches. Aaron Jones has been back. Some of the defensive players are coming back now. David Bakhtiari might play in this game. So it's getting in rhythm and then say, you know what, cool, we're done. We'll let it go and let the Lions do what they do. So, not to mention, you want to see what Jordan Love has got before you get rid of him anyway. So,
Aaron Rodgers did say he'd like to play at least a half in this game because, again, they're going to go 3 weeks without playing a meaningful game. If you go from the time that they played on Sunday, or did they play Monday or Sunday? Sunday night.
Yeah, Sunday night. It's Minnesota.
Now you get this meaningless regular season game, and then the week bye, and then you play in the divisional round, if they still call it the divisional round.
They do.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the Packers can do. You mentioned the Browns and the Steelers. Let's take one of those teams first. Which one do you want to do first, Braylon?
Let's pick apart the Browns first. Let's end with Big Ben.
Baker Mayfield, for whatever reason, he won a playoff game last year. This has been an absolute disaster of a season for the Cleveland Browns, in my opinion. I mean, that was a team that looked like they were on the rise. A year ago at this time, they were beating the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road in the playoff for their first playoff win in several years. And this year, the expectation was there, but the reality is they weren't a very good football team because Baker Mayfield was not a very good quarterback, injury or no injury. He regressed this year big time, and I think now you have to ask yourself, is this the guy that is going to lead us to a Super Bowl? And that's a question that every NFL organization needs to ask themselves. Is this player going to lead us to a Super Bowl? And if the answer is no, you need to cut bait. That's what the good ones do. That's what Arizona did that one year. They drafted Josh Rosen, and then they come back the next year and draft Kyler Murray. It's just what you got to do.
I don't have to talk about the fact that he leads the league in interceptions over the last 4 years. I don't have to talk about the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers were on the decline after week 11 of last year. So when the team that they played in the playoffs, that wasn't a very good team. And they beat them. It is what it is. You move into next year. You move into this year. Everybody's on the Browns bandwagon. Everybody's saying that they can be a team because they have a really good defense, because they have a quarterback that finally gets it, because you have Kareem Hunt and you have Nick Chubb. Arguably, actually, it isn't arguably, the best dual backfield in the NFL when they're both healthy. Can we agree on that? You got Jarvis Landry, who has been the best acquisition that they've had in the past. Jarvis Landry played lights out for them when he's healthy. You add Odell Beckham to the mix. You get Njoku back, who's healthy this year. You get all that. Even in the first 6 games before Baker was hurt, before Baker got injured, before he had his first injury, he was missing throws, couldn't finish games, couldn't close, was making dumb decisions, was throwing interceptions, and this is when he was having clear passing lanes. This is when he wasn't hurt. This is even before the injury starts. So I know everybody's like, well, he played with injuries this year. No. Before he was playing with injuries, still wasn't playing well. When everything isn't set up perfect for Baker Mayfield, he cannot have success. I said that.
I know a guy like that.
I said that early in the year.
Matt Stafford.
I stand by it now. As things start falling, like I give you an example. Look at Lamar Jackson as things just fell out of chaos all year long. You can still see him finding ways to win games. That's a guy that can win you games. That's a guy you can stand behind and he'll win you games. Baker Mayfield is a guy that if it's not perfect, he will lose you games. He will lose more games than he will win. Like you look at Case Keenum. When Case Keenum came into the situation, he said, you know what, I'll just play to what I have. It's not that hard. Run the ball with Chubb. If somebody's open, I'll throw him the ball. And won. It looked very simple. Baker Mayfield is a guy that always makes excuses. He's a guy that will play for you. I give you that. He's a guy that will play hurt. But he's not a guy that you can win with. He's a guy who's Napoleon complex, man. It's just too much. It's too much for teams. Why? Look at Odell Beckham. Oh, he's the problem. It's this guy. It's his father put out this. How dare he? How dare he tell his father that? Odell looks pretty good to me in L.A. right now. Baker Mayfield is a guy that cannot win you games on his own. Everything has to be perfect. So if you want him on your team, I don't have a problem with that. But just know what you're dealing with. He's not a guy that's going to go out and win you a championship. He's a guy that can be on a championship team if everything is perfect.
He's supposedly going to shut it down this week. He's not going to play. Yep. He's going to get his operation finally. I mean, the Browns didn't have anything to play for last night. I want to make that clear. I mean, they were done anyway.
It's called pride. The Lions don't have anything to play for, but they've been busting their butt all
I
year.
get it. It's a different situation.
But the one thing I will say, it's not all Baker's fault, because the way in which Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns have handled his injury this year, the way they let him play, they let him announce to the world, I'm going to play, I feel good. They're idiots too. What they did is negligent. It's kind of like Nagy. It's kind of like Matt Nagy. They were very negligent in how they handled Baker Mayfield. I would have told this young man, listen, Baker, we appreciate the energy, we appreciate the effort, but we're going to shut it down and we're going to have the surgery now. You're a young guy. This might not be our season. There's been a lot of other injuries. Let's have the surgery now. Let's get ready for next year. Now you've made him play all through this year. You've let him shoulder a lot of this blame, because a lot of it's your fault. A lot of it's not his fault, but a lot of it's both of you guys. Now we're like, are they going to bring him back? Do they get rid of him? Do they move him? We wouldn't have had this conversation if they would shut it down for him in week 8. But now we're having this conversation about him even being a Brown. That's on Kyle Stefanski and the front office of the Cleveland Browns.
Number 66 last night on the O-line shouldn't have been there. They almost got him killed. He got played, and he almost got his quarterback killed. They made a lot of mistakes. They didn't play Nick Chubb. I mean, they mailed it in last night.
Crazy.
He shouldn't have played. He should not have played.
9 sacks is not Baker Mayfield's fault.
No.
Braylon, I want you to give me a thought on Ben Roethlisberger next. I mean, this is a guy, look, they got a shot at the playoffs still. I mean, they got to win and need Jacksonville to beat Indianapolis.
Just think if they didn't have a tie to somebody.
Right. Think about that. If they did not tie the Detroit Lions this year.
The Jags have beaten the Colts 7 straight in Jacksonville.
I know it. So it's not some crazy out of the realm thing.
Ain't going to happen.
I don't know. I've seen crazier
things
happen on the final Sunday of the
regular
regular season. So I want you to give me a thought on Ben Roethlisberger, and then we'll get into some Lions talk in about 10 minutes from now. Armani and Edwards.
Woodward Sports Network, the bottom line.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
What's the over-under? Should I tease? Who is the lock of the night? Make sure you're watching Woodward Bets to get the latest in sports betting and more. Woodward Bets daily on Woodward Sports.
What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? This is Corey Woods, the Woodward Sports Network, checking in with your first Detroit Lions update with the Woodward Sports Network this year. Happy New Year. And I'm going to get right to it because I'm going to tell you right now, it is super cold out here, and I know I look like it. But outside of that, let's talk about the Lions' loss to the Seahawks. It was really unfortunate. They let the Seahawks hang 51 points on them. I told you guys it was going to be tough sledding, but did not expect that at all. Dan Campbell yesterday spoke about the Seahawks play calling, specifically about Pete Carroll, because, he was really aggressive late in the game. He was trying to dial it up. He was trying to score the Lions. And here is what Dan Campbell had to say about that.
No. I mean, look, like the way I look at that is, well, if you don't like it, you better stop it then. And, hey, man, kudos. And to be honest with you, if they would have run it in at the end, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. It's up to us to stop them. So there's 60 minutes on that play clock and on the game clock. So if you got a problem, then why don't you stop it? Otherwise, they'll just keep piling it on. So, no, I don't have any problem with that.
Now, there's one more thing that I wanted to get to about Dan Campbell, and I did ask him this yesterday during the media session. I asked him from the time that he stepped to that podium at the introductory press conference as the Lions coach to now, what has he learned and how has he learned it? Who's helped him out? What has been his inspiration to, get better as a coach? Here's what he had to say.
Shoot, man, I would just think the things here as it pertains to organizing, the scheduling, practice schedules, daily schedules. I think in-game management, man, I've gotten a wealth of experience. And it's one thing to get as a head coach, but then just as a play caller, I feel like I've gotten so much more comfortable with calling an offense, but also still managing the game. That was an area I feel like 4 or 5 weeks ago, man. That was a big learning curve, and but I feel like everything's begin to slow down now. As far as that goes, my confidence is a lot better. I just feel like I see things a lot more clear. So, and look, just for my own time management, as doing what I do has improved. Nobody's really going to see that, but just having a handle on obviously our offense, as I call it, but then defense, special teams throughout the week, and catching up on the film and making sure I'm on top of the opponent, the totality of what they are. I think those things, I feel like I've grown a lot.
That's all for today. I hope to see you guys next time because you know what? There's one game left in the season, and you know who it's against. It's the boogeyman. That guy they call
the King in the North.
Yes, Aaron Rodgers. That's all for today, guys. This is Corey Woods, the Woodward Sports Network, checking in with your Woodward Sports Detroit Lions update. See you guys next time.
Friggin' Corey Woods bringing heat today, man. That's what I want to see out of you, Corey.
That's how you start 2022,
that was
man.
Excellent.
Corey.
Fight.
Had the edit in there, too. The King of the North. I know you back there, Justin, whipping it up.
Corey
I see you,
friggin'
Justin.
Woods, baby.
Yeah.
Lions beat reporter. He's been out there all season from day one. Breaking news back in training camp.
He learned this year, just like the Lions have been learning.
See the evolution. Remember, we couldn't hear him in the beginning during training camp.
I mean,
inside the tent.
He's coming a long way, man.
That's a guy you want to give a follow to moving forward.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you right now. That's
Bradley
a guy
White always has the best vantage points.
Yep, that's a guy that you want to give a follow to on Twitter or check in with time to time. Great information out there. Corey Woods doing it here. Lions beat reporter, Woodward Sports Network.
K9.
We're going to talk to Dan Luss, sports attorney to the Stars, coming up. We've had him on the show before. He is absolutely great, and he is all over this Washington football team fiasco, really what it turned out to. I'm going to get to your Roethlisberger in just 1 second. But I do want to say the Washington football team is going to announce the big social media platform, big marketing campaign that the Washington football team will announce their new permanent nickname on February 2nd, 2022. And if you, many people believe it's the Admirals, right?
That's the leak.
Is that the Admirals?
Leak, but there's more to the story, and Dan will have it, and it might make you happy, Ryan.
All right.
It might make me want to throw up.
I wonder. So we'll talk to Dan Lust about that moving forward.
The Commanders are a top seed as well.
You know, some of the names, I did see some of the names. Here you go. The Armada, the Presidents, the Brigade, the Red Hogs, the Commanders, Red Wolves, Defenders, and football team.
Hey, Alex, put up the uniform possibilities. You're going to see some stars piping on the sleeves, which kind of tells you maybe the direction they're going in. That's just one part of the sleeve. Let's go to the next slide if you can.
Would that be admirals?
It could be admirals, could be commanders, could be something in that sort. Is that the only one you have? Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, there's one that's got little stars on it too.
We love football team.
I mean, I know what Armada is, but it shouldn't be Armada.
What is Armada?
Armada is a group of ships.
Yes.
Like if you go to war on sea, it's a ton of ships in the same army. So
Look at you.
Yeah.
Now, Red Wolves were one of my favorites.
Us. That was me and you.
Now, Jason, what's the president's name? Jason
Snyder?
No, some guy named Jason.
Sudeikis.
He's the president. He came out and said these are the reasons we're not going to be named the Red Wolves. There are some other trademark issues. We'll talk to Dan Luss more about this coming up here in just a couple of minutes.
Very good. So we'll do that in just a couple of minutes. Braylon, Ben Roethlisberger last night looked, I mean, man, oh man.
So Ben Roethlisberger and Ben Roethlisberger and Baker Mayfield, they totaled 308 yards, 84 attempts, and they threw for 3.6 yards combined. It's the worst in NFL history. It was tough to watch, but you know what? Ben did get his win. I am not a fan of Ben off the field, but you know what? Who cares? We're talking about on the field right now. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He beat my ass a lot of times, a lot of sore thoughts, including in the AFC Championship in 2011. He's a guy that got it done, man. He had a unique style. He's a guy that would sit in there and take hits until guys were open. You know, other quarterbacks, they try to move around a little bit, shuffle in the pocket. You know, he had an interesting video went viral of them in training camp about 4 years ago where the quarterbacks were doing the drills and sliding up, and Ben was just punching the bags and throwing it. That's how he played the game. He was very physical. He got the job done. He's a part of literally probably the most underrated Super Bowl in history. That Super Bowl between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Arizona Cardinals. That's probably the most underrated Super Bowl in NFL history. I mean, you can add me, you say whatever. Like Larry Fitzgerald, Santonio Holmes, they provided a spark. James Harrison's run before the half on the interception was great. He's just understood how to win. Like, you talk about identities. You know, you had this conversation. You talk about, can you win being a different culture? Like, can you get out of a culture? Like, Pittsburgh's a gritty city. Pittsburgh is the steel city, and nobody embodied what Pittsburgh is more so than Ben Roethlisberger. Quarterback Jerome Bettis. I mean, you think about Steelers like Franco Harris. You think about the steel curtain. Like, Ben Roethlisberger fits into that mantra of what the steel city is. So a lot of butt whoopings, but I wish you well. You had a hell of a career, and he's first ballot Hall of Famer.
He was a schmuck. We all know that.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a schmuck, but he was a hell of a quarterback. He never had a losing season. Neither did Mike Tomlin.
Unbelievable.
It's
15
amazing.
seasons.
Can I say something?
Mike Tomlin?
On my way to Jersey after the Hall of Fame, we went to Pittsburgh. We stayed overnight in Pittsburgh. By the way, phenomenal town.
Great city.
You go down to Heinz Field, and it just encompasses the whole city. Everything is built around the Steelers down there. And across the bay, across the river, the Susquehanna River, you have the PNC Park where the Pirates play. Pittsburgh, the Panthers play at Heinz Field. It's so football. It's so sports oriented. It really, I wanted to move there at that moment, and it's so great.
The pond
These
is there.
These fans are so lucky. They don't know how great it is to have a team like that to root for. I mean, how would you, us Detroiters, like to have a team like that to root for? It made me want to cry almost.
Year in, year out.
It made me want to cry that you could go there, and that is a winning freaking team, man.
And they have the biggest prop in sports, in professional sports, the yellow towel. Like, name me a prop better than the terrible towel.
Gonna put you on the spot real quick. Give me one name. First name pops into your head. Who will be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers next year?
Russell Wilson.
I got no idea.
Oh, man. Nothing comes to your head?
Deshaun Watson.
He's quarterback. According to you, he's going to be the quarterback for every team in the league.
Yeah,
Dolphins or Steelers?
Dolphins
or Steelers?
Lions.
No, I'm only kidding. It's Aaron Rodgers.
I thought A-Rod, but I think he's staying in Green Bay.
I hope he does.
I think so, too.
Guys, we're going to be talking to Dan Luss, this bizarre Washington football team situation. Are they changing their name? We will know for sure on February 2nd. But do we already know? Is there a clue?
Oh, God.
We'll have it for you. Dan Lust coming up next. Armani and Edwards.
Woodward Sports Network, the bottom line.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, Woodward Sports Network. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway. You know, we saw a little bit of a debacle with the Cleveland Guardians situation.
A little bit.
It's still a situation, I believe, with the Cleveland Guardians changing from the Indians to the Guardians because the roller derby team or whatever is named the Guardians.
Hey, man, you put some respect on the roller derby team.
True.
Man, okay?
I apologize. Will we have the same situation with the Washington football team? Dan Lust, sports attorney to the stars, we like to call him, at Sports Law Lust on Twitter. Had this tweet. Washington football team announced they are officially changing their name 2/22, and then you realize that WashingtonAdmirals.com automatically routes you to the team's official website. It's either brilliant, it's a brilliant misdirection, or a brilliant bungle. You decide. So
nothing. The Washington football team has been brilliant.
To help us decide,
including the stands.
That was my
FedEx Field.
Dan, thanks for the time, my friend. How you doing?
I'm good. We have some more updates since that tweet was sent out, which has been a fun story to follow. And I was telling Tom, we have some more clues as to what this name will be, but it's like anything Washington does is just like wildfire. It's crazy.
I mean, how does that happen, though, that the Washington Admirals automatically shoot you to the Washington football team's official website?
That's since changed.
Well, I guess here's the update, right? I got a local radio show in Washington posted that, they posted this scoop that it was coming from, Washington Admirals was redirecting, and I had done. I'm very, as Tom knows, I'm in the weeds here. Admirals was a name that they were considering that was on a long list of names that different trademark squatters had tried to block, as was Washington, presidents, monuments, you go down the list.
Commanders.
So when I saw this name, Admirals, Commanders, right, these were names that were at least in consideration. So, the name went directed to the Washington website, which I thought was interesting. There's obviously a history behind it. It's not just a random name. So, I think that spread like crazy, but it was a question of whether Washington, right, they were the ones misdirecting, or if it was, them actually revealing the team name. I think we have option C, guys. I think this is an internet troll. I feel pretty confident at this point that this is not someone. I don't think Washington's brilliant enough to do anything with this.
Interesting. So.
There's another leak, Dan. That Washington football team is going to be the name. Please tell me that that's not going to be the name.
I find that to be brilliant.
Well, I guess I can shed a little more light here, right? There was a list of 8 finalists that Washington football team put out, and Admirals was not on it. Armada was on it. So there's kind of Twitter detectives looking in at every kind of level of this. There is, some indication, as Tom points out, that the Washington football team is actually just going to keep the name Washington football team, which certainly would be interesting. They filed a trademark on May 19th of 2021 for the first time that they were, going to register that trademark. Obviously, they needed to register that for this season that has since occurred. But, you have to kind of follow that. There's also sourcing from Front Office Sports, not my sourcing, that says that at least as of in the last couple months, that was the leader in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think the other one that you guys point out, Washington Commanders, there's another kind of, if you want to call it conspiracy theory or not. Adam Schefter was the one that had the initial tweet that said that they're changing their name. That occurred in July of 2020. About half an hour before Adam Schefter sent that tweet, a domain, WashingtonCommanders.com, was registered to somebody. So the timing of that registration is interesting. But mind you, right, Washington, the team, put out a top 8 list of team names. It had like Red Wolves, had Washington football team. One of those 8 teams was Commanders. And if you look at the pictures that the team released today, there's some kind of military imagery that might make you think it's admirals or commanders. So that's kind of where that's
the stars on the sleeves.
Dan Lust joining us at Sports Law Lust on Twitter. If you want to give him a follow, great follow on Twitter. Dan, how does this work in terms of could Washington and Dan Snyder choose whatever they want? I mean, obviously it'd have to be cleared by the NFL, but does the NFL want them to have a nickname, or is everybody just kind of okay with this Washington football team situation?
You know you are.
I love football
Dan,
team.
he absolutely loves it.
I love football team.
It's not soccer.
Crazy.
I do. I love football team.
Yeah, I think there's a real universe where they keep the name. They wouldn't. So they had a list of 8 finalists, and they put Washington football team on it. So give yourself a whatever that is. 8, 1 divided by 8, 12 and a half, right? It's certainly possible. I think the fun part about the Cleveland Guardians, which you guys know I followed very closely. That was a roller derby team, and the question was whether or not they Googled it, right? And the joke here with Washington Admirals. I'm sure you guys brought it up, but that's actually a team name that's being used by one team. It's not a roller derby team. It's not a soccer team. It's actually, of all things, a professional Quidditch team. Yes, you heard that correctly.
I saw Harry Potter. I saw Harry Potter.
So, do I think that the NFL wants another Cleveland Guardians situation on their hand with team looking really stupid and picking a name that team already uses, even if it's a lower sport? No, I don't think so. But I think they'd be okay with Washington just keeping Washington football team. I don't see an issue with that. People are going to find an issue in whatever name the Washington picks, right? There's people saying, why is the team that's making fun of Native Americans with the name Redskins now picking a name with some military imagery? We don't appreciate that. So someone's going to find an issue in anything they pick, but who can really find a sensitivity issue with Washington football team? It might be a dumb name, but it's not, insensitive, for better or for worse.
It's just dumb.
As a Harry Potter fan, there is nothing wrong with Quidditch. Quidditch is a great sport. Just want to throw that out there.
Hey, Dan, how about Red Wolves? Didn't their president come out and say we're not going to be the Red Wolves because of A, B, and C?
Yeah, so, Tom, your recollection is correct. So part of the reason that I bought into this Admirals thing, and I don't get trolled very often as an attorney. I'm usually pretty good, but I'm excited for name change stories. So I've been following this one for a while. The reason Red Wolves and Red Tails were taken off the list, there are teams that use them. I think it's I think it's New Mexico maybe that uses a term like that. New Mexico, the college. But those names, at least President Jason Wright said, we're not using them because there are trademark issues. So this name Admirals, there is no trademark or active trademark file. So in theory, the window is open. But yeah, I think Washington is saying they're going to avoid stuff like the Guardians. Guardians, they didn't check Google. They were not aware of the team name. At least I don't think. So yeah, I think they've knocked off those 2 names. So really, they're down to 6 names. If you want to increase those odds for Washington football team, you're more than likely.
How about the old Amsterdam Admirals from the World Football League, whatever the hell football league that was back then? The Europe League. It was the Amsterdam Admirals. Remember that one?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can put Washington Generals on the list too if you're a fan of a fun
Globetrotters,
like the Harlem Globetrotters, right? It's possible they could go in any number of directions. Armada is also the name people are talking about that they might pick was on that list. So yeah, I mean, if you want to get really like the Zapruder film, you want to zoom in. There were people saying, hey, the stars on this New Jersey are indicative of some type of military imagery, which is fair. There were people reading that the logo that Washington tweeted, it has an image of a symbol of an A. So if it's not Admirals, it could be Armada. But yeah, if you zoom in on the jersey, that looks like there's maybe some type of an A. They could all be playing games, but one thing's for sure, I think Washington loves this publicity. I think they do, and they put the name on Groundhog's Day. So there's also people saying, right, like the Redskins are famous for being like, the Hogs, right, the Hogs offensive line. So people are saying there might be some imagery in there that they might go off the board of the top 8 list. And they made the announcement on Groundhog's Day, so it's got to be. You think there's some symbolism in that too? Certainly wouldn't shock anybody.
Hey, Dan, before they get to February 2nd, I think there's something that they need to address first, and that is the safety of the stadium. What the hell is going on with FedEx Field? Like, that is more important to me. Like, literally, you've had two
Jalen
instances.
Hurts got hurt there.
Jalen Hurts could have almost been career-ending injury. What's going on with that?
So I think it's breaking news, guys. Right before I popped on the show, Tom Pelissero had a tweet that Jalen Hurts sent a letter to the Washington football team. You know, I watched that video very closely, watched it a couple times. I'm also familiar, as I'm sure you guys are, Reggie Bush years ago, right, was running off the sideline and slipped on the concrete. I think it was at San Francisco Stadium back in there. But hurt his tailbone, was out for a number of weeks. There was a lawsuit that was resolved from it, but was filed. Imagine if Jalen Hurts, if that fence, that gate, falls on Hurts' ankle, right, and Eagles are ready for a playoff push here, certainly a lawsuit that could occur. It's this basic concept of negligence, right? You know, negligence is something that the team doesn't protect against in this instance. It's reasonably foreseeable. So it's obviously foreseeable that fans are going to lean up against the gate to try to get a high five. We see that at every arena in the country. Basketball, football, we always see fans doing it. That gate has to have enough reinforcement as to withstand that fan's weight. I think it could certainly be a case of negligence. Hurts didn't get hurt, right? So, no pun intended. But in order to have a negligence case, you have to have some type of harm. He wasn't harmed, right? He almost got hurt. You can't sue for hey, I almost got hurt. But if you watch that video closely, there's a couple fans, like this photographer gets landed on his ankle. He looks like he's hurt. And there's a young boy who looks like he lands directly on his head, maybe his neck. So I would honestly be surprised if there are no lawsuits from this. And I think Hurts, he might be called to be a witness in the case. I mean, he was the closest to the action, right?
Not to mention, there was something that happened in the stadium a week before. And it's something like where the roof caved in a little bit in terms of the second or third section. They need to get that stadium under
move back to RFK.
Yeah, go back to RFK.
Then you really have these incidents.
Hey, Dan, thanks so much for the time and the perspective on all of these issues. We certainly appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon, hopefully.
My money's on the Commanders, boys. Stay tuned.
Commanders.
All right,
there it is. My money's on the Commanders, too, now.
All right.
Anything is better than football team.
A 2-1 favorite, the Commanders. All right, Dan Lust. Follow him on Twitter, gang, at SportsLawLust. Great follow on Twitter.
100%.
You think the Radskins are out?
Oh, come on.
The radical, the Rad, R-A-D.
But it's still skins, though.
What about the Washington Liberals?
The main thing is skin.
How about the COVIDs?
The Washington leftists.
The Washington left. Having some fun. All right. Great stuff there, guys.
I like the Hogs, too.
Hogs is good.
Hogs is a good one.
To see the Groundhog Day thing?
Wild Hogs.
It's coming out on Groundhog Day,
What is wrong with the Hogs?
Nothing. They were the Hogs, man, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Only thing is, how can you animate a cool hog? You got to do something, maybe a warhog with
some, like the Razorbacks. They got the cool hog.
That's a warhog. Yeah, you're right.
Armani and Edwards.
Woodward Sports Network, the Warthogs.
Football team.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. I'm proud to partner with Hall Financial, a mortgage company known for 5-star service. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their 5,000 5-star reviews for yourself. Go to callhallfirst.com and get started with your 5-star experience today.
You want commercials? The other guys have those. You want great sports takes?
Touchdown! What a play!
Woodward Sports has those. Detroit's new sports outlet. The Woodward Sports Network. Your Detroit alternative to the normal sports blah, blah, blah. It's Woodward Sports.
Hey, gang, it's Ryan. I want to tell you about Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac in Dearborn on Michigan Avenue. This is the place for you if you want to buy a car new. Go get one ordered if they don't have one on the lot. Put your order in now also on their pre-owned lot. Any make, any model. Maybe you don't want to buy a car. Maybe you want to sell them your car. Used cars, pre-owned cars have never been more valuable than they are today. Your car today has never been worth more money than it is right now. If you want to sell it for thousands and thousands of dollars, go ahead and give Les Stanford Chevrolet a call. 313-565-6000. 313-565-6000. Doesn't matter whether you own the car or lease the car. Les Stanford is your authorized lease return center. Look them up online as well. LesStanford.com. LesStanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Oh, man. Quick question before we jump into that. Actually, a statement. Michigan State and Wayne State have just gone virtual the rest of the school year.
Rest of the school year?
As of right now.
What?
I'm looking at right now. Wayne State and Michigan are virtual. Michigan will be next.
Where do you see that?
It was a little insider. I might be wrong, but
is it just a month?
My kid is Michigan State is going to be 3 weeks. I know that.
So maybe it's a month. But you remember how 2020 started? Just a month. Rest of the year. Quick question.
Yeah, that's true.
Could David Ojabo get drafted before Aiden Hutchinson?
No. I don't think so. I think Hutchinson's still going to be a top 5.
Let's wait for Indy.
That's where I was going. Mel Kiper and Todd McShay have him at 9. They both have him inside the 10. They have Aiden at 1 and 2. Man, you get a great test. Because, NFL is all about measurables and freakish stuff anyway. That was just a test, but, just a question.
I'm not going to say no emphatically. I mean, I just, once you get these guys, Hutchinson, Thibodeau, something tells me a quarterback's going number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Something tells me that Kenny Pickett is going to be drafted at number 1 or number 2. Now, obviously, if Jacksonville has the number 1 pick, maybe they trade out of that pick. They've got Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Maybe the Lions take Kenny Pickett.
Because at the end of the day, the Jacksonville Jaguars definitely could trade down to 3, and the reason why they can do so is because they still need Evan, the lineman from Alabama. You need a left tackle. You have one in Evan Cole, so that would be an interesting move down because he's not going to go 1 or 2. He'll probably go 3, so that would be interesting. But anyway, my bad. Just getting some stuff started.
Not your bad. Go ahead, Tom. Read the.
I got something for you from Bruce Feldman, one of the best in college football.
Yeah.
Sources from both the NFL side and at Michigan tell The Athletic that Jim Harbaugh might be tempted to leave Michigan to return to the NFL. This is on The Athletic.
Bruce Feldman.
On Twitter.
Bruce Feldman knows his stuff.
You're going to see a lot of this.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be true, but
you're going to see a lot of this. I do not think, and we can explore this at length tomorrow. We'll get somebody on about it as well. I don't think that Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan.
I just don't think you wait that long to accomplish your goals to leave. Like, it's not a send-off. Like, that's how I look at it.
It's just starting to turn for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan now. I think the Chicago Bears are going to be the sexy name because
and he played for Chicago.
He played for Chicago. He's a Ditka guy. You have a relationship with the city. Seems like a slam dunk to go there. I mean, but I just don't think under any scenario that people don't account, and I said this with Mel Tucker too. I don't think people account for quality of life when they just start shipping coaches and players off to different jobs. They just don't account for it. Mel Tucker might not want to move all over the country again. Mel Tucker and his family might like to live in East Lansing and be the head coach at Michigan State. Jim Harbaugh and his family, after moving his whole life, might like living in Ann Arbor and coaching the University of Michigan, beating Ohio State once every 3, 4, 5 years, and winning a Big Ten championship every 3, 4, 5 years. You got a statue out in front of it.
Yeah, people wait for the right opportunity. Like people, you search life for that right opportunity. Like Maz, you're older than us. Like, am I correct? Don't you search for life to find that right opportunity? Isn't this a great opportunity? Like, it's the same with Jim Harbaugh. Like, he pucks through some other things. Oh, Stanford was great. Oh, San Diego was good. Oh, by the way, San Francisco was good. Oh, they went to the Super Bowl. He didn't get it done. He got here. It was a little rocky. It was a little topsy-turvy. But now you arrive. You're Big Ten champs. You beat Ohio State. Everything is going the way in which you wanted. You're building something. I think now he's building for the future. I don't think Jim Harbaugh ever goes anywhere again. I think he never goes back to the NFL. It's just my thoughts. Why would you leave Ann Arbor?
Yeah.
He ain't leaving.
No.
Exactly.
This is a lifetime job for him.
I don't think he's leaving at all. So that's something to
be good to chase down anyway. It's a good, someone wrote a story.
Yeah.
We'll chase it down.
Absolutely.
Let you know.
We'll chase it down. We will not think that we know everything, right? I mean, we have our opinions. But I don't think that Jim Harbaugh is leaving. I don't want to just like say, oh, no, Jim Harbaugh's not leaving Michigan ever.
Right.
Not leaving. It's Michigan. It's a dream job. I'm not that stupid. I'm not that naive. But I just think that so many people will attach his name to something. And I think
Mel Tucker might leave, though.
I don't think Mel Tucker's leaving.
I'm just
He's
saying.
just trying to start.
No.
Oh.
Of the two?
Yeah.
Mel Tucker would leave
of the
before
two.
Jim Harbaugh would leave.
Perhaps.
Yes, I give you.
That's a fact.
No, that is a fact. That is a fact. But neither one are leaving.
Right.
Neither one are leaving. They
You
both
don't
they
think
want
Tuck will leave in the next year or two?
He would Tuck wouldn't because I think Mel Tucker's 51. Like Mel Tucker wouldn't leave before 5 years.
Alex, put your mic on. What are you yelling at and whining about in there? You don't think that the NFL is going to come after him?
He just signed a 10-year contract.
So
man.
what?
It means nothing.
So what?
Means nothing.
He's not going anywhere. I'm sorry.
I agree with him. I agree. He's not going anywhere. But out of the two, of course, he would be the first. Like Jim's a little older, Mel's a little younger. Mel hasn't been in the NFL as a head coach yet. There might be some other institutions that he may want to coach at. He may want to crack it at Alabama. He may want to crack it at LSU. So, but nothing before 5 years with Mel Tucker.
What were you saying I'm sorry, my brain is shot.
It's okay.
Oh, it's okay. We're having a great day.
What did you say? Oh, Ken Rosenthal.
Ken Rosenthal.
You wanted to mention that. Ken Rosenthal let go from MLB Network.
Unbelievable.
It does give you a sense of, that reporters are guarded in what they let you know. The information is not the information. You are allowed to know the information that they want you to know. There is no such thing as like a reporter that gives you the breaking news facts.
Right.
You know, I mean, look at Ken Rosenthal. Poor guy. He's been doing this. One of the consummate pros.
As you guys told me, for the viewers out there that don't understand who he is, he would be essentially Adam Schefter of baseball.
Yeah, and that's basically what he is. And he
Or
criticized
Ian Rappaport getting canned by the NFL Network because he said Roger Goodell sucks as a commissioner.
Right. That would be what it be like. But these networks, you know, Big Ten Network.
Yeah.
You know, you criticize people.
Yeah.
In their organization.
Got my ass fired.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You know, you criticize Jim Harbaugh at the Big Ten Network, you're going to get fired. You criticize Roger Goodell at the NFL Network, you're going to get fired. You criticize.
Look at John Gruden.
Look at John Gruden.
The email went after who?
It went after Goodell. Fired. Yep. So there's so many different ways to look at it. You just want to know that as a fan, you're being told proper information. And when you see these things, look, these people have families. Yeah. These people have mortgages. These people have college debt.
They also have freedom of thought. Jesus Christ.
But what I'm saying is these reporters, they got lives and families too. If somebody tells you don't say something, you know, you're not saying anything because you got a job.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
now Rosenthal's still employed by Fox. He's not going anywhere.
Sure.
He's still got his own thing. He's one of the best voices in Major League Baseball. When I want a story, I'm going to go to Ken Rosenthal. He's one of my top two guys that I'm going to go to for a baseball story. If he writes it, I know it to be true.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So for him to say what he did, and I'm not even sure what he said bad about Manfred, other than, hey, this guy really doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Right.
Look at all these rules he's putting in this baseball game that's been around for years. And I know the game's got to change a little to get the young fans back involved. It would help if the Tigers and the Yankees and the Mets and teams like that would make it more easy for a family to go to a game and eat and drink. That would help.
And as CJ writes on Twitter, you know, the Adam Schefter stuff. How many stories of Adam Schefter that we saw the emails where he's like, hey, can I say this or can I say that?
He got real quiet after that.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Adam Schefter was real quiet after that.
We'll do Maz's videos of the day next.
Hey, man, we missed it. We tried to do you justice, man. Alex did a good job. But
Alex hacked it up. I watched it. It was a complete hack job.
He got called on the spot. Maz, he did a good job.
The foot thing dropped again.
Oh, shit.
We gotta figure it out.
Happy New Year.
I just can't work like this under these conditions.
Stick.
Are you quitting? Are you about to take your stuff off like AB? You about to take your stuff off? Well, looks like we lost Armani, man. This is Edwards and Maz, the bottom line. and Alex and Sam.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Hey gang, I want to let you know about Guardian Alarm. That's right, I came back for this, baby. Black and yellow, black and yellow. What do they make chairs? Yeah. If they did, they would do so with proper footstools that don't fall to the ground. That's right, Guardian Alarm, your guardian, your local security experts for over 90 friggin' years.
Yes.
Guardian Alarm, convenient features let you check in on your home, control your lights, your temperatures, detect smoke, carbon monoxide, even gonna let you lock and unlock your doors. All you gotta do is call that number right there, 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Whoa. We're not gonna start the year off like that. What is the number, Ryan Romani?
1-800-STAY-OUT.
Mel Tucker staying out of the NFL.
He's out.
Jim Harbaugh will stay out
of the NFL.
Of the NFL.
And he will stay in.
1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts. Very good.
Hey, by the way, the national championship next year, the playoffs, will be on New Year's Eve again. But supposedly for the last time.
Thank God.
It's going to be on a Saturday this time, but they have locked in. They're locked and loaded. So you've got New Year's Eve 2022 with your playoff games.
Whatever happened to playing these playoff games, though? And I know, thankfully, we played at the Orange Bowl. Like that felt like a college football venue to me.
Rose Bowl.
What happened to playing at a Rose Bowl? Or playing at the Sugar Bowl? Or playing, you know what I mean? Playing at a big-time bowl. Playing in Indianapolis.
I think what happened with Rose Bowl is Rose Bowl, they bought themselves out of the playoffs because they felt like they were being used. Like when you use the Rose Bowl, it was like, oh, you're using us as a stepping stone to the national championship. So the Rose Bowl wanted their own deal. They wanted their own production. They wanted their own, because they knew the Tournament of Roses, they do the parade. They wanted all that to be synonymous with the Rose Bowl and not like a stepping stone. So that's why they bowed out of the playoff race.
Hey, how great was that Rose Bowl, by the way?
It was 45. I hate that the national championship game is being played at an NFL stadium. Like I hate it.
It's got to be outdoors to me in California or in Florida.
Yeah.
That's to me. That's the way you play them.
That's it.
Speaking of our videos of the day, we go back to 16 years ago today, the greatest Rose Bowl ever played.
Reggie Bush,
led by Vince Young. Check it out.
Vince Young, 6'5", 230 plus. A lot of swagger, but he's good. Reaches for it. Touchdown. He gets it. Goes to the outside with it. Goes around the corner.
Wow.
In the corner.
How did he make that?
Touchdown.
Listen to Keith Jackson.
It's touchdown.
Young slips a little, coming back. There's Bailey.
Listen to him. Look at him.
Here he goes. Touchdown.
Vinsanity.
The national championship on the
Part 2.
right here.
There you go.
He's going for the corner. He's got it.
The corner.
Wow. Listen to the crowd.
Vince Young scores. Texas has defeated Southern
So 3
California.
things about this.
Wow.
Goose pimples.
4 things about
How do you
this.
not?
Things 1. Vince Young is always good in Texas. Thing 2. If Reggie Bush pitches it at the pitch that he had, if the wide receiver catches it, USC wins. Thing 3. Damn, we had to play USC 2 years before that, and then we had to play Texas the year before that. We saw both of these teams 2 years in a row.
Yep.
We were like, thank you, play
Who
somebody.
was the better team?
It's not even close, man. Texas. Like, USC was better in 04. They were a better team in 04. In 05, I think Texas was better.
And Lendale White.
Because the year 04 that I'm talking about is when USC beat the hell out of Oklahoma, 55-17. That team was better than Texas, but the team, they had a bunch of first rounders that left that team. That 05 team wasn't as good as the 04 team, so Texas was better.
That's what's up.
My next video, we take you a little WNBA. I know Braylon's going to be the next commissioner.
Becky Hammond just became the coach of the Aces.
I know. She's making some
Look at
money.
this guy.
Now, Minnesota Lynx, Rachel Bannum. Rachel Bannum played for the Golden Gophers.
Yeah.
Check this out. She thinks she's doing a video for an upcoming Women's Final Four, when in fact her boyfriend Andre Hollins has set this all up so he could pop the question. Check this out.
Ooh-wee.
Dre, you scared the shit out of me. What in the hell is going on?
We're here at Williams Arena. This is my second attempt at trying to propose to my longtime sweetheart, Rachel Banham. We met in college, so this has a lot of sentimental value to us here in Williams Arena. She has a banner here. We both played here 4 years. We love Minnesota. Had it set up to where she's thinking she's coming in for an interview. Hopefully we can get it done, and she says yes.
Staring into the camera?
Yep.
Okay. The Final Four coming to Minnesota is super exciting for me. To have the Final Four in your home state or in your home city is pretty cool. People here love basketball, so I think the crowds are gonna be amazing. Minneapolis is gonna be just a good time. The day that I must have the camera. The day that my jersey was raised, it was super cool. It was New Year's Day, and it was just really cool. And now I get to see it every single day. Dre, you scared the out of me.
I'm sorry. You know I like this.
Sorry.
So?
No.
Rachel?
Stop. What in the hell is going on? Oh my God.
You've been rocking with me for a long time. You made me a better person, a better man. I'm able to trust and confide in you. And you're truly an amazing woman. So, Rachel Marie Banham?
Not the middle name.
Will you marry me?
Yes. I don't even remember what hand it is. Oh, it fits perfect. Wow, you did good. I love you.
I love you too.
Finally, he got it done.
All right, Dre.
That's what's up.
How good is that?
Awesome.
Rachel Banham and Andre Hollins. Congratulations.
They were like 08, I want to say. They were like 08, 09. I remember those names. You are a sucker for these stories, and I love it because so am I. We
all like a good love story.
We're big sweethearts,
man.
We do.
We
like
do.
A good
This
love
was kind of
story.
like your Rick. This is like your, not Rick, Chris Spillman.
Oh,
remember the surprise, the setup?
Oh, man.
That is good.
Yeah,
That was
it
good.
was similar.
That
like
was a great
setup.
surprise by the
Yeah, it
Lions.
was.
Best thing they did all year.
Good job, Rod
was
Wood.
that. Hey, speaking of love stories, Jim Everett. Happy birthday, Jim Everett.
Oh, my
we all
God.
remember
Jim Rome.
the great Jim Everett.
This is
Jim
not.
Rome.
Oh, happy birthday, Jim Everett.
Jim
Okay.
Everett.
But you know what he's about.
It's Jim. Good to have you on the show.
Good to be here, Jim. Thank you.
Check that. Chris Everett. Good to have you on the show.
You know what? You've been calling me that for about the last 5 years.
About 2 years, actually, Chris.
Well,
somewhere along the way, Jim, you ceased being Jim and you became Chris.
Well, let me tell you a little secret. That, we're sitting here right now, and if you guys want to take a station break, you can. But if you call me Chris Everett to my face one more time...
I already did it twice.
You call it one more time, we better take a station break.
Well, it's a 5-minute segment. Our 5-segment show. We got a long way to go.
Well, we do.
We got a long way to go.
We do.
I'll get a couple segments out of you.
It's good to be here with you, though.
Well, it's good to see you,
because
too.
you've been talking like this behind my back for a long time.
But now I said it right here.
Right, exactly.
Well, we got no problem with that.
I think that you probably won't say it again.
I bet I do.
Okay.
Chris?
It was.
This is real.
Still going.
It was kind of like a wuss push, though. You know what
that
I mean?
was real.
But you know
like
what
a
it was,
little bit
though?
of a wussy push.
It was one of those things where, as he was talking about what he was going to do, and when he flipped the table, he could hear his lawyer in his head like, "You may not want to do that." You're at the end of the career too, so I think his lawyer jumped into his head.
Rack him.
I got one more
I
for
used
you.
to love when Jim Rome
I love
was
the
on
clones.
here. I love Jim Rome.
I like Jim Rome.
I went to one of
burning.
those tour stops
Did
when he was
you?
here with the Palace.
He was terrific,
He was
man.
fantastic.
He
Loved
interviewed
Jim
me
Rome.
right before the draft. Like they set up like the satellite. It was in my condo in Ann Arbor, and he did like on Rome was burning. I was like,
Is he still doing a show?
I think on CBS,
It's
but I don't
CBS
want. I
and
mean, I don't.
XM.
Yeah, no, like CBS Sport. I think he does it on. I don't know. I don't know.
Hey,
He
last night
lost
on
the
the
luster
What
somewhere
do I
along the
know?
way.
Yeah, totally.
Last night on the Manning cast, they had a great guest last night.
I'm not
but
gonna ruin
Snoop
it.
Dogg is
Yes.
there. He wants to be Snoop Manning. Check this out.
Snoop's the
Is
best.
that what he said?
He did.
So now that we're retired, we will watch the game and especially watch the halftime show. So
Oh yeah, we got to talk over this
I
just in case.
I watched this last night.
Man, it was
I
a
love
pleasure
Snoop.
watching you two boys
Snoop's
play.
the best
Hey, you
human
boys.
being
You
ever.
always,
Like,
I'm gonna give respect to
literally.
the top
Snoop.
dog,
Archie.
Snoop.
Papa Dog, Archie.
You guys played with class.
And again, we're just trying to talk over this a little bit
Yeah,
so we don't
listen.
get pulled off YouTube.
All right, listen here a
All
second.
y'all endeavors, man. Y'all keep up the great work, man. I wish I was a man.
There you
Can
go.
I be adopted?
Snoop Manning.
Snoop Manning.
Listen, there are a lot of great individuals in this world. There's none better than Snoop. Name me somebody as universally loved as Snoop Dogg.
Braylon Edwards.
Hell no, not even close.
How do you not?
Name me somebody as universally loved as Snoop. From people that used to hate rap.
Derek Jeter.
Nah, not like Snoop.
No, I know.
Snoop
You're
does
right.
Indian commercials,
No, you're
Asian
absolutely right.
commercials,
Ice Cube's
Korean,
in there.
German.
I mean, go back to NWA.
But even with Cube, you still got a lot of people that are still afraid of Cube. Like,
Oh,
nobody
man.
is afraid of Snoop.
How about Martha
Everybody
Stewart?
loves Snoop. She's in that category. But you got a lot of
No,
people.
I mean Martha Stewart likes Snoop.
Yeah.
In a
Is
in
Martha
a, maybe
Stewart
a little more
hooah?
intimate way.
Exactly.
Is she a hooah?
She's a what?
Is she a hooah?
She's a real cougar.
She's a hoot.
She's a real cougar.
She's a hoot.
Is she a hooah?
She is a real cougar.
Martha
Get
Dia.
me out of here, Braylon. Get me out of here.
When I was playing in Seattle, I lived on Cougar Mountain Drive. That's where
But
Martha
Tony,
Stewart
you
lives.
ever see the
But
Sopranos?
Tony.
But Tony, she was a hooah.
Hey, listen, this is 2022. This is our first show. All together, we have formed like Voltron
God.
to bring you the best and latest in sports, entertainment, and news. We love what we do. It is the bottom doggone line.
Betty
killed
White.
her,
We
but
forgot
she was
about-
a hooah.
We forgot about Betty White. She's loved.
She was loved. She died.
Good
Rest in
call.
peace.
Good call by
gotta
Betty
Rest in
go.
peace.
Who called that? Edward
Excuse me,
Stewart.
it's 401. We
She
love
was
you.
a hooah,
Thank you for
Tony.
supporting us always. We'll
Ryan
see you
Sigler.
tomorrow. Edwards, Ermani, Maz, Sam, and Alex. Alex, get us out of here.
She was a hooah.
Vince Young, 6'5", 230 plus. A lot of swagger, but he's good. Reaches for it. Touchdown. He gets it. Goes to the outside with it. Oh, it's around the corner. Touchdown.